Prahar, I've already seen those stuff. I've seen the videos for the prelims, in fact. Like, I think OnlyIAS was the first one to release the key, kind of, on the video key.
Excuse me, sir.
Please come in.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Prashanth. Please take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
So, quickly introduce yourself to the board.
I'm Dr. Prashanth. I completed my graduation from Madras Medical College last year in June 2022. And I've done my schooling from the DAV Group of Schools, Chennai. I love playing chess and swimming, and I'm part of organizations such as the Indian Medical Association, and I take part in drug de-addiction drives.
Excellent. Sunil.
From what I read of your biodata, you were National President of the Indian Medical Association Medicos Wing. And then you wrote a co-author of a book on family medicine. So it seems you went really deep into what you are doing. Then having gone so deep, you are now choosing to quit. So are you disillusioned with medical line, or what happened? I mean, it's very rare that so deep a thinker comes to this platform.
Sir, my impetus to join MBBS was more because I was supposed to be the first doctor in the family, and my family members were affected with cancer, especially my mom and dad, both of them. So considering that once we were into the MBBS, we did see multiple cases which have been benefiting, say organ transplants which are being done free of cost at the GH. And that is the success of schemes such as the PMJAY-CMCHIS. And having a deep interest in policy making, this is the only service which gives me the opportunity to be into policy making and help with respect to patients. Say 70 to 80 patients per day is what a doctor can see. But as a bureaucrat, I can cater to at least millions with a single stroke of a pen. So I feel this would help me use my medical education knowledge, sir.
Are you aware which is the largest uniformed civil force in India? Or in the world, to that matter?
Sir, I'm not aware of the exact one, but
you were part of it once.
The National Cadet Corps, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, and you have also worked on drug de-addiction.
Yes, sir.
Having gone deep into this drug de-addiction thing, do
Yes,
you really see a way out? I went to that National Mental Health Institute in Bangalore and talked to their head of department of rehabilitation on this drug thing. So he said something which was startling. So what is your take on this? What is the way out for drug de-addiction for this country?
Sir, analyzing the causes for drug de-addiction is the first, for the drug addiction rather, is the first step that we need to take. And more often that is because of the reasons of unemployment, peer pressure, and also the case of narco-terrorism, where non-state actors in turn help in getting their funds through the narcotics. So as far as the reasons are concerned, once we identify them, it is appropriate that we identify those who are affected by the same. And the first hint that we get from people who are affected is through their parents, when they find a change in their behavior through both physical and mental means.
What the head of rehabilitation in Nimans told me, he said that those who have got into drugs are kind of lost cases. What you can is save the fresh crop from getting into it. Do you agree with this statement?
Sir, if I may politely differ from that observation, considering that there are cases where we've rehabilitated them from drug addiction safely and effectively as well, and they serve as role models for the future generations and for their own peers to get out of the drug addiction. So I totally feel that when it comes to persuasion, it is possible to get them out of such drug addiction.
So how would one go about as a policy maker? How would you go about?
Sir, it involves identifying the relevant stakeholders. We need the help of NGOs who can help us, the medical practitioners, parents who can identify such people who need help, and most importantly, the person who is affected also needs to ask for help. Unless and until they come forward, it's very tough to get them out of the situation.
Have you ever visited a drug rehabilitation center yourself?
Yes, sir. We are a part of it in our psychiatry postings and internship. So as far as the center in Chennai is concerned, we've interacted with those who were affected. And once they have a strong reason to come out of it, they do make it out of it, sir.
Do you think government can really do this job of rehabilitating people? That kind of commitment could you see in the people who are manning those posts? NGOs apart, I agree NGOs can do it, but can a government hospital really get into this rehabilitation job?
So we do have rehabilitation centers of the government per se under the Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan as well. So these drug de-addiction centers have been working effectively through the help of psychiatrists, psychologists, and also leveraging the help of paramedical personnel who can take care of them effectively. So we are being able to get out of it, sir, through the government initiatives.
Okay, my last question. Can you tell me 3 schemes of Government of India which have made a difference to the common man on the street in last 1 decade?
So the first one is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana for financial inclusion. The second one would be the Ayushman Bharat scheme as well.
Okay.
And the third one with respect to the unorganized sector, say would be the PM Swanidhi scheme for street vendors. All these 3 have made a difference.
This Ayushman Bharat, how do I get into that scheme? Can I enroll for it?
Sir, the people who are under the BPL families can ask for an Ayushman Bharat card through the collectorate office. Once they produce the relevant documents, for the family there is a card that is issued, and that covers.
Collectorate office for that?
So, from my knowledge, we generally used to ask them to apply to the collector office and get it.
Oh, there's an online site, and if you are there in the socio-economic caste census, that is the criteria. Can
Yes,
it online also, right?
Prashanth, it's wonderful to see a doctor who's with so many achievements and migrating to another field. And I was very impressed that you can see only 70 to 80 patients a day, but here you, with a stroke of pen. Very impressive, a very good thought. But I was at the same time intrigued because when I look at your further options, number 2 as police, number 3 and 4 as income tax, how is it going to really help you? I wish you had only opted for IAS and nothing else. What's your take on it?
So with respect to the police, the revenue services or the other services as well, again, there is the scope to cater to a huge population with a diversity of portfolios again. And considering that I've been part of the drug de-addiction drives as well, the police do play a great role when it comes to curbing drug menace.
Excellent. So police, that's what exactly they say. It is easy to shoot the archer than the arrow. So in your drug de-addiction drive that you have done in NGOs, have you ever brought anything to the notice of the police, the drug peddlers?
Yes, sir. We have got in touch with the local police with respect to certain places which have been known to supply drugs, and those have been more often the local shop vendors in that area.
Do you think it is more pertinent to deal with the drug dealers than to deal with the impacted people?
So
do we deal with the cause or the effect?
So we definitely need to nip it at the bud, and the cause needs to be identified for sure. But when people are being affected firsthand and we see people lose their lives, the first help that needs to be provided here is for those who are affected. And we can trace the path towards the cause as it goes forward.
The cause will continue perpetuating and proliferating. Okay, let that be. I'm sure when you join the police, you will change the paradigm. So tell me, what's the role of WHO?
So the World Health Organization, as established in 1948, happens to be the apex body of the United Nations with respect to healthcare practices in terms of guidelines, standardization, and also with respect to guidelines that it enforces. And the role of the WHO is best seen in terms of COVID management, wherein the daily statistics about the cases of COVID or the guidelines with respect to masking up and the practices were also taken up effectively. We had Dr. Soumya Swaminathan as well as part of the WHO.
So have you been, I'm very impressed because COVID was actually very smartly done. Pandemic, it just lost its steam in 2 years. But have you been able to figure out the cause of COVID, Wuhan virus? Have you been able to get a finger on it, or WHO has failed us?
So with respect to identifying the cause, as far as the epidemiological studies have been concerned, they've not been able to pinpoint it towards the Wuhan marketplace where the virus originated. But there are theories that it has been due to a disease spillover, a viral spillover from the primates or the animal kingdom towards the humans.
Okay. So tell me 5 diseases which are zoonotic in nature.
The Ebola virus, sir. Then there's the monkeypox virus. We do have rabies as well. The Japanese encephalitis. And then...
okay, good enough.
Dengue, sir.
You've been dealing with drugs. There's been some trade agreement between US and Japan and China on a specific drug which is an opioid. Are you aware of this? Fentanyl, have you heard of that name?
Fentanyl, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Fentanyl is an opioid derivative which is used more often as a painkiller and also for an anesthetic management.
So why are they complaining about it? It's a painkiller for analgesic. It's used after surgeries. Why are the Americans complaining against Chinese?
Sir, I'm not aware of the exact issue, but then from my limited understanding on the issue, I think it is more because of the misuse of fentanyl or an abuse of the drug as a narcotic. There are people who consume it without indications, rather inject it, I would say. So maybe that would be the reason, sir.
Okay. I would recommend that you just take a look at it.
Yes, sir.
Read it because it's a major issue between the two countries. So tell me, my last question would be to you is that you talked of so many schemes of the Pradhan Mantri, which is, and especially it is bringing healthcare to the grassroots level. And there's been a huge endeavor to get generic medicine, to popularize generic medicine. Why is the generic medicine not getting popular?
So as far as the drugs of generic medicine are concerned, there are medical practitioners who allay 3 reasons for it. The pros of generic medicine being affordability, availability and accessibility at a cheaper rate. But with respect to the cons of it, that the standardization, the chemical compounds that are used and the efficacy of generic medicines are relatively under question. And when a patient gets treated with generic medicines and if the efficacy is lower, then naturally the patient puts the fault on the doctor. So that is the primary reason cited, sir.
Okay. Or what is IMA doing towards it?
Sir, the IMA has requested the Union Health Ministry not to go ahead with the notification concerning the same reasons. They've written a letter already to the Union Health Ministry on it.
So as a doctor, you are telling me that probably the generic medicines are not safe.
Sir, I wouldn't say that it is not safe, just that the efficacy might be under question, that there might be a difference in the efficacy of every drug, however it is prepared.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed interacting with you.
Thank you, sir.
Prashanth, you are an MBBS, you talked a lot about your, achievements and of course, and since you have achieved so much in such a short time, so I guess I will continue the same line. How you got the 40 gold medals?
So we have 19 subjects in MBBS, of which there are also super specialty subjects under which separate proficiency exams are conducted. Those are endowment prizes established as part of the college and the university. So all put together, added up, it comes to 40 along with the medals.
So you got all the gold medals possible in that?
Most of it, sir. There are around 50 to 60 possible. So I got more than 2/3 of it.
So your friends must be quite jealous of you.
On a lighter vein, maybe we pull each other's legs, sir.
Prashanth, I noticed that you have interest in leading many organizations. You have been national president and in many institutions. So what was your thought process to join, because you are studying. So all these associations, organizations, they take a lot of your time. So what was your thought process to join all these organizations?
Sir, I think the motivation has always been from my family first, considering that it's about being a holistic attitude that we take up even within MBBS. And it could be stuck to probably just academics, but my mom and dad have always been motivating me towards working towards diverse arenas. And that has been one primary reason why I've enjoyed being not just in academics, but the extracurricular interests or the leadership activities that I've taken up. And within the Indian Medical Association, it gave me the opportunity to be part of a delegation with the National Medical Commission as well. And I could help the UG board president in motivating.
How you helped him? Very shortly.
Yes, sir. Sir, the UG-MEB regulations, which are the Undergraduate Medical Education Board regulations which came up for the NMC Act, they have been recently amended and framed, wherein we were able to put up certain points for the consideration of the Honorable President, Dr. 𝐓𝐢𝐻𝐷𝐻 ma'am, and it was graciously
So what was
accepted.
the point, your point, which was accepted?
So one was about the payment of stipend for interns and postgraduates as well.
Okay. We're talking about the COVID vaccines. Do you think the introduction of the COVID vaccine as a doctor with such a limited data, was it a wise move?
So from an ethical perspective, if we were to completely see the issue, definitely there were some concerns raised on the efficacy and the safety of the COVID vaccines. And even until today, we do see Dr. Gurminder Kaur as well. So she was being sued in the US courts, and Elon Musk had stepped up to pay her fees just because she had blamed the COVID vaccines for their safety. And so when it comes to the safety mechanisms, though there needs to be 4 phases of trial taken up over a longer period of time, we couldn't do that, and we had to fast track the process. And that was more because we were losing out on lives, and the only way we had to do was to compromise on the phases of trials.
But there was an big controversy recently that a vaccine which require very low temperature and whole system was created for it, and they found that it was not really effective. What do you say of that? Do you think it is a conspiracy of the pharma companies?
Sir, not necessarily that it is a conspiracy of the pharma companies, more so because there have been trials which have also shown minimal efficacy at least. It has been stated that the vaccine does not completely prevent the disease per se, but decreases the severity and the seriousness of the degree of the disease.
But was it worth the effort? Worth the money which was involved? Like India was able to do at much lesser costs. So don't you think there was something more to it?
Sir, I still truly believe that the vaccines have made a long way, and the very reason that we have the vaccine war movie encasing...
No, forget the movies. We're talking about the... I'm asking your perspective as a doctor. And since you have been associated with so many organizations, so you have seen on the ground.
Yes,
so I'm looking for your perspective. I'm not looking what others are saying.
So from my perspective, I thoroughly feel that the vaccine was needed, and that whatever facts and on the efficacy and the safety has come out are in good taste, considering that it is for the safety of the people.
And we are talking about, last question from my side, you were talking about the generic medicine, and we talked about the efficacy, that may not be 100%. Do you think that differential pricing is the answer?
Yes, sir. That could be a mechanism that could be brought out as well with respect to the medicines that we are talking about. There are different brands which offer the same medicine at different costs, and that they attribute to the different practices of solvents, chemicals, fermentation process that are being used. And that could be taken over to generic medicines as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You are a polyglot.
Yes, sir.
What all languages can you speak?
Sir, I can speak the languages of Hindi, Tamil, English, Telugu and Malayalam partly, sir.
I speak Hindi, English, Urdu, partly Assamese, lots of Punjabi Galis. Does that make me a polyglot?
Sir, by the definition, it makes you a polyglot, because anything more than 3 gives you the status of a polyglot. A hyperpolyglot is one who knows more than 5.
Ah, okay. So fine, I'll assume that title henceforth. We see that in South Indian movies in general, and Tamil and Telugu movies in particular, there is a huge fan following, some in Kannada also. So where does the word fan come from?
Sir, I'm not aware of it, sir. I'll look up on it.
It's a short form of fanatic.
Okay, sir.
But fanatic, is that a positive connotation? Because fan definitely is.
Fanatic in general is not a positive connotation, sir. But when we associate it with the hero cult, probably it should be taken up.
So now I want you to explain the following in a manner that I understand it.
Yes, sir.
Fanatic, fundamentalist, extremist, terrorist.
So on a graded response, these are degrees of perception and opinion that they hold on a particular issue, and with respect to the security of the state, they matter. So when it comes to fanatic, it could be about one particular principle or ideal that they completely stick to and religiously follow. Generally, it has a religious connotation or a thought process which is completely absorbed. With respect to being a fundamentalist, again, there are certain values that they take up, but the response is a little higher. And extremists are ones who are not open to certain thought processes and have a closed mindset and ideation. And when it comes to a terrorist, it is when they strike terror or rather acts of violence on a particular state, acting against the interests of that particular state or organization.
Okay. What can you tell me about this term K2 as the twin threat?
So when the word K2 comes up, I can recollect only the Kanchenjunga Peak.
Naturally, as I said, for Kashmir and Khalistan.
Yes, sir.
In the flow of the thought that I was carrying. Now, to what extent would you say Khalistan and the Kashmir issue were offshoots of religion per se? To what extent is religion responsible for these two? Or was religion a convenience for both these?
Yes, sir. There has been a religious connotation to it as well. And with respect to the Khalistan issue, be it with respect to Operation Blue Star, where the terrorist groups had taken house into the...
You're going after what happened as an event. I'm asking you a very simple question.
Yes, sir.
Was religion responsible for the issue, or was religion a convenient platform for the issue? Both Kashmir and Khalistan.
It was a convenient platform for the issue, sir.
So how do you say that it was a religion-based issue? Was it the basis or was it the edifice? Was it the foundation or the edifice? That's my pointed question, and I would like you to respond with reasons and stuff. Either way,
yes,
whatever
sir.
View you hold.
So it has been used as the edifice, I would say, sir. More so because though the issue actually started from separatist tones with respect to both Kashmir and Khalistan, they've used religion as a platform.
Let's take them one by one.
Yes,
Kashmir.
Sir.
What was the origin? Was it ever? Give me something to substantiate that it was religion.
Sir, historically it was being ruled by a Hindu ruler, while the majority of the population were from Islam. So there were differences not by the ruler, but with respect to the country of Pakistan, which wanted it to accede the Kashmir region into it. And there were attempts to take it by military force as well in the 1948 war. And later on again, which led to the Pakistan occupied Kashmir that we have right now.
Understood. So if that had that operation whatever succeeded, we would have had more people coming under CAA. The same Hindu minority would have gone and same problem would have begun. So to be ruled by one particular denomination, and what happened in Hyderabad in that case? The Nizam was a Muslim, but the majority of the people were Hindus. So what justification does that give? Was religion the basis there?
Sir, but there were other auxiliary reasons as well, such that the state of Hyderabad was landlocked between the Indian country as well. And there was no other way for it to accede to Pakistan per se, and it would have been...
Then I will have to bring you to East Pakistan. It was surrounded from all sides by India.
Yes, sir. But then that was yet another reason why it was easier for East Pakistan to separate itself from the major country.
So, in the two-nation theory, I am very fond of saying that the death of the two-nation theory happened in 1971. Why do I say so? Was it easier for East Pakistan to secede because it was landlocked by, not landlocked, by surrounded by India? Was that another reason?
So it was the neglect that they faced from West Pakistan.
Was it a passive neglect?
Sir, it was an active neglect rather, because they purposely chose, again due to religious reasons.
Isn't active neglect an oxymoron?
So perhaps it could be.
That's what a college girl would do to 6 of her suitors and go after the 7th. That's called an active neglect. It doesn't happen in international diplomacy.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll come to the end of this particular interview. How do you think you fared?
Sir, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and like there have been extremely good questions that were put up, which I've never thought about as well. So from my end, it was extremely good to hear.
Prashanth, we found you to be pretty impressive, pretty candid kind of a candidate who had reasonable depth of knowledge, and you had good eye contact. You definitely underscored the fact that you got those 40 gold medals and you really deserved it, the way you went about it. That was very impressive. But after having said so, but there are certain places where you too feel that there is a need for you to work on. And especially when we are looking at certain very specifics like generic medicine, etc. These are things which are, and majority of the time we get confused by running NGOs and thinking that curing a patient is more important but not curing the cause. That is a very, very, very important aspect. That is why in case of the NGOs become very smart, they will start they start shooting the archer than the arrows. But after having said so also, I would like to bring home there are certain things that this panel, particularly our panel, got gravitated to only most of the time on medicinal issues. The chairman talked of certain things of international, but it may just happen that international relations may become a very important aspect because you're looking at being an IAS officer. There may be many other issues which we are not talking of, which will be coming up in the panel over there. Yes. So we would very strongly recommend, please work on that.
Sure, sir.
When is your interview?
April 1, sir.
April 1st. So you just got about few days to go.
4 more days.
4 more days to go. Pretty well done up. I think that's all. I'll rest my case here. Just consolidate yourself.
Sure, sir.
I hope you'll not be wearing this.
Not this, sir. I have a blue coat with a white shirt and a red tie.
Yeah, because this you are wearing a friend's attire, which is fine. Which is fine. Don't wear a dark shirt.
Yes, sir.
You'll be wearing a light shirt, and
yes, sir.
You have some other colored.
I have a blue tie as well, sir.
Wear a blue tie. It's a little less Republican. Okay. There are a couple of things which I noticed. In the end, when I brought you to the subject of international affairs, quite possibly you have a certain viewpoint, but you seem to be, if I give you a strong logic, you're going in the other direction. So either be clear on what your viewpoint is, or straight away say, sir, I had not thought it that far.
Yes, sir.
Probably I need more. Humility is always a good way of presenting a case and getting out of it.
Sure, sir.
Otherwise, the board will feel, or whosoever will feel, that with a few more strong arguments, or God forbid, with some disinformation, I can bend your opinion.
Yes, sir.
This posture I am fundamentally against. Fundamentally, not fanatically, not extremely extreme. Okay, and certainly not terroristically. आप पीछे होके बैठिए. Just go back all the way.
Yes, sir.
Right? Put your hands comfortably and use your hands as sometimes you did.
Yes, sir. I wanted to change my posture every time.
No, just like you're using it now.
Yes, sir.
It gives a very good impression that you are using your entire body to gesticulate.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes,
your
sir.
eye contact is superior, certainly. The hold on your words is excellent. Right? Keep at it.
Sure, sir.
It's a very good picture of confidence that you present. And your biggest discomfort would be to explain away your 40 gold medals. Okay, what are you doing in the IAS? I mean, isn't it? So you be prepared with a not very fluffy, not very,
Yes, sir.
it shouldn't have too much exaggeration in it. It should not be too literary.
Yes, sir.
It should come out from the heart. And there is one more point which you can add, that as a very qualified doctor also, I find that there is so much value addition which I can bring to my job while being in the IAS.
Yes, sir.
You can take the example of, for example, officers who were medically trained or had some familiarity were able to do much better.
Yes, sir.
During the COVID thing. So there may be so many out of the box solutions which in the future I might be able to present to the government.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so think along slightly
sure, sir.
constructive lines.
Yes, sir.
And it should come from the heart.
Yes, sir.
Right? Shouldn't be कि मैंने पूरा cram करके 4 line का answer लिखा हुआ है.
No, sir.
Otherwise,
yes, sir.
Okay?
Sure,
all the very best.
And your nice smile and your eye contact is very good. So keep it on.
Sure, sir.
All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Carry on.
Yes,
all
sir.
the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.